I was thinking, well, what would be an interesting little side thing to talk about? And I think for the people that are in this group, which are hopefully up to date and have already heard by the time they hear the side part, the main 2 episodes that we just finished. What about where we are on the timetable right now? I know this is potentially a big topic, but in a kind of condensed version, how long people have to kind of get ready for the next intense part that you've been warning about for a while.
Well, World War III is surely coming because they can't get Americans to give up their sovereignty after Brexit and all the other bad blood that globalists have. They can't give Americans to vote in a global government with the kind of controls that the EU has without another war. So World War III is coming. But the interesting thing is the globalists cannot start this war. They can try to provoke it. They can try to preserve trigger events, and I think that's what's happening in North Korea. I think North Korea has always been created as the trigger event for World War III. And so
why can't they start it? Sorry.
They can't start it because the globalists have to look like it's not our fault for them to talk Americans into a global, militarized global government.
Okay, because it's harder to sell if you're already known as the bad guys.
If you're the aggressor, if you've launched a preemptive strike on Russia and China and get a World War III, you're not going to be in any position to talk the American people into anything. You're going to get voted out of office. So the globalists want to make sure they are trying. That's one of the reasons for all of this intervention around the world, is to give the U.S. the reputation for the bully of the world. This hands Russia and China an excuse to go to their own people and say, we got to do something about this U.S. It's the bully of the world. And Putin has already used this to great effect in Russia to build a very patriotic, pro-Putin backing about how the U.S. is sanctioning us and treating us and how they're fomenting terror in Syria and we're trying to do the right thing in Syria. I mean, the U.S. really looks like the ugly American.
That's one of the biggest faults, and there are many, but I think that's one of the biggest faults of Trump, is that he was offered an alliance with Russia during the campaign, and he should have taken it. It would have changed the course of history.
Well, I'm not sure it would have, Richard. Russia's not our friend. They're still planning on attacking the West, so they would have only used Trump to pacify that. But at least, and I'm not sure how much Russia, I think Russia knows a lot about the U.S. globalist and their fomenting of terror, because they revealed that the U.S. was, not bombing ISIS oil supplies that had trucks lined up at the border going into Turkey, and But you see, Russia's playing games with Turkey, even though they knew Turkey was complicit in the U.S. war on terror. So Russia's a real problem for the United States, and they've got the most sophisticated military in the world, even more so than China, though China's got more men under arms.
Right.
They're not up to snuff on the military technology that Russia is, stealing a lot of our technology. The real thing that Trump needs to do, of course, is have someone in his staff who can tell him who's deep state and who isn't, who knows the history of conspiracy, who can point out to them, no. Iran didn't do this. Those were missiles that hit that tanker. That was not landmines. The crew said they were missiles. That was not all the thing. Needs someone to explain to him. The only thing he gets outside of his establishment advisors is he watches Fox News, who's a conspiracy denier.
Right.
Even Tucker Carlson, as good as he is, won't mention conspiracy.
Yeah, and he said 9/11 couldn't have been done by anybody but the Arabs attacking.
Which actually, when you look at the facts, it couldn't be done anyone but the blacks, the deep state.
Exactly, and he was asked why, and he said, well, just because it couldn't.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the conversation.
Yeah, he doesn't want to go there. And he would lose his job very, very quick if he went there.
Yeah, I think there's a danger.
And so my time because the globalists cannot start this war, they have to wait until Russia and China are ready. And their weapons production is not going to peak until about the end of the next decade. So I think, doesn't mean they'll wait till they're fully ready to strike, but I think it's at least the middle of the decade to the end where we can have a full-on World War III. And I'll tell you, when the lights go out, Richard, it's not a matter of, hey, there's a strike going, we better start to prepare. When the lights go out, all commerce stops. And it will start with an EMP strike. folded up 15 minutes later with a physical strike on U.S. military targets, not cities. The Russians and Chinese want to blackmail the West into submission. So even though you're going to survive, unless you're right in San Diego near the harbor, or Seattle, where you have fallout coming in there, or Colorado Springs, there's about 15 cities that are going to get damaged because of the military facilities being so close to the population centers. But generally speaking, Americans are simply going to have a lights out scenario, and the military is going to be decapitated. And if you think you're going to recover from that, or if you think you're going to go down to Walmart or Home Depot and start to buy preparation stuff, you're kidding yourself. That's why I've dedicated so much of my time, not only to alert people, but to write my preparedness book so that people prepare in advance.
Right. And so the next 5 to 10 years is the time to be doing that, I guess, from what you're saying.
I said the next 5 years is the time to prepare. I wouldn't count on much more than 5. If we do, it's just gravy.
Yeah.
But don't count on it. What I'm just saying, 5 years is plenty of time for everybody to get prepared, and that's what they need to do.
And it looks like, I mean, we don't have time to get into this now, but it looks like they're doing a little mini practice session at the moment in California.
Oh.
About half the power is turned off at the moment.
Yes, yeah.
So, okay, well, a lot to think about. I know you need to go, but it's exciting, and I'm ready for the next episode as soon as we can.
Okay.
So.